You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast. You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Did the picture turn out differently from what you thought it was going to be when you first started to make it?
Well, no, I thought it was exactly what it was supposed to be. And it just, I think, was out of its time. I think that someday it will come in like it took a while for The Wizard of Oz to come into style. They thought they had a turkey when that came out. Little did they know it was still being ready.
It's Thursday, July 11th, and I just rushed to the studio tonight after work to produce this sudden, unexpected bonus episode, which is to say that this isn't your typical All-American Ruins audio story. So for context, if this is your first time joining us, I have been producing these bonus episodes between seasons. They're audio stories that don't follow the typical format of the regular seasons. But this one is a little more unusual than that, because it's more of a sound journal entry than anything else. I'm still going to do some light mixing, zhuzh it up with a little bit of moody music, but this episode is an encomium, but also a eulogy for Shelley Duvall. I feel like I can hear some of you sitting there scratching your heads, asking, okay, but what does Shelley Duvall have to do with this podcast about abandoned buildings that I signed up for? And a lot. And this particular bonus episode actually starts at the abandoned Nevele Grande Resort, which, if you already listened to the podcast, I've guided you through in a previous episode from Season 1, appropriately titled, Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. Before arsonists got to it, I visited the Nevele 4 or 5 times. I truly lost count. It was a staple, a mainstay, and access was easy. Now that's changed ever since some asshole set it on fire on Snapchat. Well, we're at the entrance, and it has really been quite damaged since the last time I came here. That's me with my friend Becky, who you'll get to know in a later bonus episode. And this is her first time exploring the abandoned 550 acres of Borscht Belt history.
You know what? I remember when I started exploring in high school, I never tried to break anything, but I had like other people that would come and they were the Destructo kids.
Yeah.
And I stopped going with them.
I always love to watch my friends experience new things that I get to introduce them to. Movies, shows. The couple of times I've gotten to go to a Broadway play with a couple of different first-timers. It's sweet, and it makes me feel seen, especially when they like it. An abandoned space, though, that's a whole other ballgame. It makes that feeling even stronger, and it offers me a little bit of vicarious courage, too. A reminder that it's okay that I'm still going on childlike adventures to the ruins of America to play pretend. When did you start taking pictures?
When I was in high school, I used to just like take photos of
I find a lot of symbolism in the architectural wreckage of our past. And it bleeds into all sorts of buckets: social, cultural, political, spiritual, environmental, historical. And in the case of the Nevele, it does give off Overlook Hotel vibes, the massive complex that's at the center of The Shining. It's all I could think about the first time I visited, and on this particular visit with Becky, again, it's all I can think about. And as you well know if you listen to the podcast or have watched the pilot episode of the Hudsey original series All-American Ruins, I have a deep love for Shelley Duvall, the star of Stanley Kubrick's divisive cinematic adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining.
Then you were in The Shining, a totally different role, a scary role. Was it hard to make The Shining? Was it a hard piece of work for you?
It was extremely difficult.
I read somewhere that the director had you crying 12 hours a day. Is that a little hyperbole?
No, I had to do that. He demanded realism, so I had to really cry. For 9 months out of the year and 1 month that I was in London to do the film. So I was very thankful that my next 2 roles were really fun.
If I'm thinking about The Shining, undoubtedly I'm thinking about Shelley Duvall. The first time I saw The Shining, I was 14, and I'd already seen The Exorcist, so nothing could scare me anymore. Now, of course, this was a lie that I told myself, because when I saw The Shining for the first time, I felt instantly haunted by it. I wasn't scared of it, necessarily, but it did keep me up at night. In fact, it kept me up a lot of nights, but not because I felt fear. I just felt like it was in me, in my gut, like a phantom took a dive into my mouth and managed to set up shop in my stomach. I can't explain it, but it was Shelley Duvall in particular who I felt so attached to. And it's not like I was sexually attracted to her. I don't swing that way, but I did feel, spiritually attached to her character, Wendy, a deeply wounded wife and ferociously protective mother, who keeps the entire hotel running all winter, all by herself. And actually, if you don't want to hear what happens because you haven't seen the movie, I would fast forward about 20 seconds right about now. Wendy's abusive husband, Jack Torrance, types the same sentence over and over and over again for months until he cracks and starts talking to ghosts who convince him to kill both Wendy and her son, Danny, because the hotel told him to do it. And I was in awe of this frail woman with big teeth and stringy black hair frantically scurrying around the dreamlike set of the Overlook Hotel, waving a kitchen knife and sporting a periwinkle bathrobe that was almost identical to a bathrobe my mom wore when I was younger. In fact, one time I even made a side-by-side comparison video of the two, and sure as shit, their outfits and hair color look almost identical.
Well, I guess because I like seeing something from its concept all the way through to seeing it on the screen on television. I mean, there's a real thrill in that. Yeah. And it's very satisfying to be able to be involved in all the creative elements that go into the making of a picture rather than just coming into it.
So maybe that was part of the deep admiration I felt for Shelley Duvall at such a young age. I was, and still am, a pretty big fan of my mom, Beth, who you met all the way back at the beginning of this audio series, in episode 1, where she describes the beginning of the end of my ghostly love affair with an abandoned dairy farm, the first abandoned space I ever explored.
People lived there or went to school there, and now it's gone. I just want to cry because, I don't know, it's all waste. It's just such a tremendous waste of resources.
It was a place I called home, at least in my imagination. I loved playing there because I felt safe there. And again, you've heard all of this, but something you don't know is that there was more to my deep love of that abandoned dairy farm, just like I think there was more and is more to my deep love of Shelley Duvall. Because if you dive deep enough into the internet, you can find some pretty not-so-nice things about Shelley Duvall's past. The supposed abusive relationship she had with Stanley Kubrick, the topic of which has been the subject of controversy for years. Did that happen? Did it really not happen? The notorious near-criminal interview she had with Dr. Phil, and a lot of criticism of her looks and her essence. You have to kind of dig to find it, but it's there. And for some reason, I feel deeply protective of her. Because I know how many people have written or said things like, "Oh, Shelley Duvall is crazy. Did you see that interview with her on Dr. Phil?" Or, "Oh yeah, Stanley Kubrick totally abused her into Stockholm Syndrome." Or just ferociously stupid comments about how she looks. All of this on the internet, of course. And as her character Wendy spends a significant percentage of the film trying to save her son from the worst kind of bully of all, we see an extremely smart person who outsmarts an entire hotel of ghosts and survives the unthinkable against all odds.
It's funny, it's something that I discovered during the making of The Shining. was that I had never done more than, say, 15 takes before in my life. So it was a great change for me to do so many. But then after you do a certain number, it sort of goes dead. And then 5 more takes or so, and it revives itself, and by then you know the scene like the back of your hand, and you can make no mistakes with it, and you forget all reality other than what you're doing. And it's like a miracle. It comes out better than it did before, and it's fresh.
When I watch her in that movie, and in any movie, I see an original, someone whose light comes from within, and it can't help itself. Shelley Duvall couldn't help but be Shelley Duvall, and because of it, she had a prolific career and a host of other disciplines and ventures. She was a producer and a writer and a children's television host and a model, and she was also a bit of a tabloid queen. Who could forget that Duvall dated and lived with Paul Simon for 2 years before she introduced Simon to Carrie Fisher, soon after which Simon left Duvall for Fisher. But at her core, Shelley Duvall was an American original, a cultural icon who used her own light to create an entire career that revolved around her creativity and her love of storytelling. She was in many ways an underdog, and in other ways the antithesis of one. I think the real reason she came to mind anytime I explored the Nevele was that I felt like I understood her, and I felt like in a weird way she understood me. And so I talked to her. In my imagination, I talked to her ghost, and she saw me, and she made me feel safe, just like the abandoned dairy farm from my childhood, just like any abandoned building where I get to go play pretend. Or at least that's what I tell myself, in my imagination. If you'd like to experience the magic of the Nevele Grande Hotel through the fantastical eyes of All American Ruins, you can join me at any of the upcoming film screenings, now through October. July 27th at the Peekskill Film Festival in Peekskill, New York, August 18th at the Catskill Mountain Foundation in Hunter, New York, October 11th through the 20th at the Eugene Environmental Film Festival in Eugene, Oregon, and October 13th at the Dove Block Film Project Short Film Festival in Geneva, New York. You can find ticket links on my website, allamericanruins.com, or you can find more info on my Instagram page at allamericanruins. And if you want to keep up to date with All American Ruins, following that Instagram account is the best way. And you can also sign up for a Medium subscription for free, allamericanruins.medium.com. That's the original blog. Abandoned, the All American Ruins podcast is written, edited, produced, and hosted by me, Blake File. Special thanks to my brother and my mother, who edit the hell out of these stories. Emma Lehman from the Texas Twiggy podcast for shining a new light on the divine Miss Duvall, and extra special thanks to Miss Shelley Duvall herself. I hope you rest in prosperity.
I'm Shelley Duvall. I'm Shelley Duvall. I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello. I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello. I'm Shelley Duvall. Hello. I'm Shelley Duvall. I'm Shelley Duvall.